All right, Chattanooga, welcome back to What's Happening in Your Neck of the Woods with your talk show host, Dr. Elenora Woods. And yes, it is going on all around this country, and it's definitely going on in your neck of the woods with all these elections coming up. Today is the last day to early vote, and then I believe on August the 1st, you have one more chance to cast your vote for your favorite candidate. And you know what we do here at WPTP? We bring it to you. And today, we are going to be interviewing or talking to the wonderful Kisha Cheeks, who is a attorney here. Yeah, let's give her a round of applause. Yes, yes, she is doing things out there all over the city. And also, she's a candidate for the Hamilton County Circuit Court Judge. And I'm going to let her tell a little bit about her. I don't want to steal her thunder because y'all know I will. I like to talk. But I am going to give it to this beautiful lady sitting to my left, who has done just an amazing job with campaigning. I see your signs everywhere. I was on my way here, and I'm seeing it not only all over the billboards, but I'm seeing it in unusual places. Like, they caught my eye. I said, Keisha Cheek, she's everywhere, y'all. I know you've been seeing her all over the place, and I brought her here today so she can talk to you. This is that last day of early vote. And after her, we'll be bringing on her opponent. But I want to give her the stage. Girl, you are amazing. Yes. So tell us a little bit about you for those who don't know who Miss Attorney Kisha Cheeks is. I'm going to let her tell you about her and then talk about her platform today. So go ahead, take it away.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Woods, for having me here today and allowing me some time to spend with you and your audience here. I'm really excited about running for Circuit Court Judge. This is an exciting time here to be involved in our voting process and running for office. And so, really excited about that opportunity. So, let's talk about Kisha.
Yes.
So, I am a local attorney. I've been practicing for 13 years. I practice in litigation, which basically means I go to court. I go to court on civil matters. I've exclusively practiced civil matters. I've practiced since day one in circuit court, which is the court that I'm running for. And some of the things that we deal with in circuit court are family law matters. So we're dealing with your divorces, your custody matters during a divorce and after divorce, or any issues that come up later once a divorce is final. Once it's ordered, we'll say ordered final, because you can always have things that come up later, and they do come up later.
Okay.
And we deal with those until either that child is an adult and there's no longer any custody issues, or until all the financial matters or such are resolved from that divorce. We also do business disputes. We do any type of contract disputes between parties, individuals. We do personal injury cases. So if you're in a car accident, if you're in a store and you have an injury in that store and you are at odds or coming to terms or not happy with a settlement that's offering, you want to take it to court, you bring it to circuit court. We're your court that's going to handle anything over $25,000.
Oh,
Anything over $25,000
wow.
comes to our
Because
court.
there are people who have cases that don't amount to 25,000. They wouldn't be coming to your court. It's those big cases.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Those courts can go to our small claims court, but anything over $25,000. And even if you're in a small claims court and you don't like your resolution, what happens there with then you appeal to our court.
Okay.
And you kind of start over in circuit court there.
Got you.
Our cases operate a little differently in the sense of, like I was saying about the divorce. We keep those cases from day one until that file ultimately closes. So I've worked on divorces from the early 2000s, and it's 2024. If there are issues that are still resolved, you stay with that judge the whole time, that case file does, and you stay in circuit court until it's resolved.
Tell me something about that, because I've had my moments and times. so why would somebody still be in some type of litigation with each other in a divorce 20 years later? What happens?
So, most of the things have to do with the children. Things may come up in terms of someone wants to move. That's a big thing. Someone wants to move. And if the parents don't agree on a new parenting plan, then one of the parents will appeal to the court to help them to make a decision as what happens. This parent wants to move, still wants to have a relationship with their child. They want a new custody arrangement. We we can't agree on it. So now we need your help. Obviously, things like financial matters, dealing with the children, those things may come up later. And then also there's things, if someone's in a divorce and the one party doesn't do what they're supposed to do, then they come back to the court because that person didn't honor that agreement, or something happened, or maybe, different things happen. Someone may lose their job. If they lose their job, obviously they can't continue to make those financial commitments. Again, anything that continues to be outstanding that can't be resolved between the parties comes back to the court. Someone renews that case. They keep that same case number. They don't get a new case number. It stays with that same case number and it comes back. And this is really important because this is about 55% of the docket. We're dealing with divorces and custody matters. Right. And so it's really important that, our judge coming into this role is practicing and doing the work of family law, divorces, custody matters. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing every day. That's what I was just doing coming from this week. Doing. And so, I've been there every day practicing, doing family law cases mostly, and doing some of the other cases, obviously. But that's really important and really key in this division, and not only Division 3, but all the divisions. We have 4 divisions over in circuit court. And I say the divisions, we don't, each one of those divisions do the same thing. It just lets you know which judge to go to. Division 1, 2, 3, or 4. I call it a room, a door marker, so to speak. But we are, all those divisions are hearing the same type of cases.
Because I want to talk to you about, let's get back to the children in these divorces. I had so many people, you all know I was the former NAACP president for many, many years, and I represent a lot of people that had issues, civil rights issues, and then all those issues dealing with housing, discrimination, and in some cases, children involved with divorces. Right. And matters come up to me, and even though I'm no longer the president, matters still come to me where mothers and fathers are fighting over the kids. And I've had one particular situation where the mom and dad was not married. However, they had a child, and the father did some time and came out of prison and wanted to reunite with his child. The mother was not in the child's life. However, the grandmother was. Right. And the grandmother gave the rights back to the mother, and then they succeeded in keeping the child away from the dad. So in that matter, where a judge ruled because an attorney who was representing the child, in this case, I call it, what do you call it?
Guardian ad litem.
Yeah, ad litem, yes. Did not verify the mother's place of living, the mother's income, where she worked, or any of those things, but gave the kid completely over back to the parents and more or less took the parents from the father. So if that father wanted to pursue, if they wanted to go back, would they come through your court maybe? Or is that, because that's in the juvenile court.
Right.
So how does that work?
So no. So when I say, so I should clarify that we're handling family law matters exclusively from divorce.
For divorce. Okay.
Divorce, right. Gotcha. And so we're handling those that are tied to two individuals getting a divorce, and then we continue to address the custody matters from there.
Gotcha.
In the case where the parents were not married, they're going through the juvenile court system over there, or they're going through the child support court over there to handle those matters. And so that is to say that we are handling all matters that are pertaining to that divorce.
Gotcha.
And I didn't mention that we also do adoptions, and so that is the lighter side. I love adoption days at the courthouse because you see families and you see the kids and they're in a hallway. Everybody's all dressed up, but it's so happy. It's a nice balance to when we have
about
divorces.
That process. What does that look like if you wanted to adopt a child? First of all, say you can't have kids or whatever, or you just want to add to what you already have. What would that process look like? Day one, step 1, 2, 3, 4, because there are a lot of people that want to adopt.
Right.
And it's a long process, I understand. And so tell us a little bit about that.
Certainly you would want to get with an attorney to help you through that process, because you do want to make sure you're, crossing all your T's and dotting your I's and such there. Some adoptions can be from, hey, someone that has a child and they're not able to take her. They want to give up their rights. But hey, you know what? I've chosen you. You're here and you want to take care of my child. And so certainly, right, that's a different process than, some people may go through the foster care system, their foster parents, and then they later decide to adopt that child. And so then there's a matter of making sure that parents are notified. We have to give all the notifications to the parents. And, sometimes, like in your case, when you were talking about your family, that example, your family example, and
Yes.
not your
Okay.
family,
Not
but
my
family
family, but a
example, right?
situation, right.
Like, if that parent is incarcerated. So we have to make sure that we're giving notice and that, again, dotting all those I's, crossing all those T's when we're making those decisions that, don't that it doesn't come back later that someone wasn't informed
Right.
that this child was up for adoptive rights and someone. And so then, you can imagine, I mean, we've seen these in TV shows and we know they're actors, but, think about it in real life. If that were to happen and you have this parent who's like, wow, I didn't even know anything was going on about this. So there's certainly in this process in which we have to go through notification and just making sure that, parents, we know the parents, if we know that they're in whatever situation they're not being involved, that the child has had time, those parents have had time to either get themselves together to be able to take care of their child, or they've given up their rights so that child can go on to someone who is able to care for them.
Take care of them.
So it is a process. It's something you must do with an attorney. But, I just like to say, I like to be in the courthouse that day when those families are there because it's a happy time. It's the legal process is an adversarial process. Someone is against someone. And we typically do not have just clear winners. No one's really walking out the courthouse all smiles. You may win a little here, you may lose a little something here. You may not get the total award or damages you want in a personal injury case. You may not get any. And so, we're really, it's not somewhere where we're coming out with somebody's all happy, one party's all happy, and one party's
gonna win.
Right, somebody's gonna win and somebody's
lose.
gonna lose. But rarely do you win exactly the way that you want it to win, right? Because you've got to prove your case, and the judge has to hear both sides. We get the facts of the case, and then we determine, okay, what should be the proper ruling according to the law.
And I like what you said. I had an opportunity to come to the debate that was set up by 100 Black Women, National Coalition of 100 Black Women, last week. And I like the fact that your, I would like to say your experience with dealing with family matters, dealing with women, dealing with children. You just seem like that motherly, loving person with experience. And that's what I really loved about you. And I know even with both parties, both opponents, and I like what Judge McVeagh said, nothing he could say negative about you. You're just a beautiful person. Just a beautiful person. So now tell me a little bit about your platform. What is it that you want the people to know about you as a person and what you're going to stand for, the integrity, all the things that you have to deal with? I know you all were talking about the law. You have to rule by the law. You can't go outside of that parameter. But tell me if you could sum it up to 3 things that people, when they go to the poll and vote and they think about Kisha Cheeks, what should they remember when they push that button?
So those 3 things are faith, family, and fairness. Faith being that you have a belief in our justice system, a belief that the justice system is going to work. It's going to work right by you and going to do right by you. Family, we just talked about the fact that we're dealing with families, we're dealing with individuals and businesses all the time. And, I remind myself every day when I go in the courtroom, I take a moment and just say, understand the importance of the responsibility that I have. And when I'm going in to do work that day, it's going to impact a family. It's going to impact an individual. It's going to impact a business owner. And then fairness. Our judicial system should be a one size fit all. One size fit all. And that it doesn't matter where you live, what you look like. It's going to apply the same to you.
It doesn't, Kisha. So often, I didn't even call you Kisha, Attorney Cheeks. So often we don't see that,
Right.
And we could talk about that off the set, but we know that there are people who have been given, the judge gavel, and it's what they say is what's going to go. And so many times on the ethical side, it's not always there. So we want to see with you, with a judge, that when we come in, I like what you said, it's going to be fair. It's going to be fair, because so often it's not. And I know you're not going to say that on set, but I'm just saying us out here, when we come in the courtroom, we got to say, "Oh Lord, I heard about this person. She ate this way or he ate that way," and it always go back to how fair is our judicial system.
Right.
We've just seen so much. We've got a big election coming up in November. With our president, which is a national thing. It's not local, but it's national, and we're just seeing all kinds of stuff happening.
Right.
And I just want to know, and the people, our audience, want to know that when they come into your courtroom, your judge, you've gotten the seat, what we can expect for you,
Right.
because we want to know that we're going to get a fair shot. That's all we want.
That's right.
That's all we want. And in your opinion, I think sometimes the people that lose, for example, they don't understand because we get emotional.
Mm-hmm.
We think that we're on the right side, but we don't know the law.
Right.
When people don't know the law, that's when again they say that's not fair. They didn't do. I had this blah 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 blah, but they don't know the law. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we've had an incident recently here in Chattanooga where they were like, "How did they get off on that?" People don't know the law.
Right.
And a judge has to base their decision on the law and the facts that they have in front of them, and it's burden of proof. You got to prove that this person did or didn't do whatever that you're accusing them of doing. So go into that just a little bit, because I think people don't have a lot of faith in judges.
That's true.
Based on what happened with the Supreme Court.
Right.
So talk to us a little bit about that so people will understand that they, like you said, they may lose, but there's a reason. Right. So talk a little bit about that, because I want to know for myself. Right. Why do we lose?
And Dr. Woods, you are so correct, because right now, if you look out and you read statistics and just read in general, there's a lot of surveys and polls out there that say that right now and across our nation that we are at an all-time low of having faith in our courts right now. And so I believe that it's my responsibility, just not even to looking as a judge, but as an attorney and a judge, that we have responsibility for the justice system here in Hamilton County.
Yes.
Because what we are doing in our actions and how we are handling cases is what the Hamilton County residents see, and that's what they think of justice.
That's it.
And so when judges are making decisions, you get an order. You're going to get a final order on your trial or what decision went before the judge. And in that order, it should state the law, how that law was met or not met, what the facts that were considered, and then that judge's decision.
Yeah.
And that's really it. And, certainly when you're in a courtroom, the judge will verbalize that to you, and then you get a written statement of that. That decision is going to be made on the facts, particularly like in divorces when we're hearing those cases, and also in contract disputes. The judge may say, talk about the evidence that was presented, and like, I did not think this evidence was credible. I did believe this evidence was credible based upon what was presented here today. And so that gives that sense of understanding and somewhat enlighten you on the decision of why the judge made the decision that was made. Now again, it's an adversarial process. No one comes out just totally happy. And so, usually the decision is somewhere in the middle there, particularly with our divorces. We have two parents, and the idea is that they're both fit parents. They were both operating in this marriage. And now I've got to make a decision to recreate a model which two individuals were taking care of a child within one place.
That's usually the main focus, the kids.
Right. Recreate a model in which is going to be the best interest of that child. And that really is the focus when you get aside from the financial information, the financial details of divorce. The focus is what's going to be the best interest of that child.
Yes. So many people want to have complaints filed against you, attorney, judge, chief. What is the process? Say I don't know. She was unfair. She knows my so-and-so. She didn't recuse herself or whatever from this case, and she was just unfair. What is the recourse? I know you can appeal it to a higher court.
That's right.
So, and the Bar Association, what happens when someone turns you into the bar? What is that process like? And because people want to do that. So let me go back. Do the judges, when you have a case before you, that's a complicated one, do you all often confer with one another to look at the case? to let someone else, your peers, weigh in on it to get their opinion. I know it's going to ultimately be your decision, but do you all sometime seek advice from someone maybe with more experience or a higher court before you make your decision, which pretty much stamps your decision, locks it in. So even when they go to that person, it doesn't matter. That person already knows. I'm a dentist, so I know how this stuff works. So sometimes, patients may not be happy with something and they want to go at a higher level. And you've already consulted with a higher level who actually helped you make the decision to do what you did. So when they get ready to appeal it, is it sometimes lost cause before they even get there? Because no.
So, okay, a couple of different questions you asked. So I'm not happy with my attorney. There's the Bar Association in which you can file a complaint. There is a committee that will review that complaint. And it's similar, the same such with judges. If you don't like a decision that a judge makes, because there is I don't like that behavior. I don't feel I was treated fairly, or in the case of an attorney, I don't feel like that attorney did their job. So that is separate and different than the judge side, where I don't agree with this decision, therefore I can appeal. So there is certainly an ethical review process for attorneys and judges if individuals and parties do not feel that they performed according to the rules of ethics. We have rules of ethics for attorneys and rules of ethics for judges, and believe me, they are detailed, and they tell us all the time, that give us the guidance and what we should and should not do. And we are always to err on the side of caution, particularly with judges, because we're protecting the reputation of the justice system. So we should always err on the side of caution. Now, when it comes to rulings, if you don't like the judge's ruling, then you can appeal. And when I say don't like it, meaning you don't believe it was based in law. Not that I'm just not happy with it or I didn't win, but there's a legal basis, legal foundation for your displeasure or your belief that I didn't get a fair ruling, or there was a piece of evidence that was excluded that I strongly believe should have been admitted and considered. Therefore, I have grounds for appeal. And then you appeal that to the court.
Paperwork? Does that look like a paperwork?
That's an extensive process to do.
So is it online? Do you start there? Do you get an attorney?
So
you get an attorney to make a complaint against the other attorney?
Right. No. So you're not making a complaint. So this is when I'm not happy with the decision that I received in my case. I believe I had a valid contract. The judge said I didn't have a valid contract. I believe I had a valid contract. Therefore, I'm going to appeal it to the Court of Appeals. Based in all the case, everything that was presented in that case is going to go up to the Court of Appeals. You're going to get an attorney that's going to lay out a formal process to show what was decided and how it should have been decided based upon the law. The other side gets an opportunity to file a response to your appeal. And that goes to a higher court, our Court of Appeals, who then says they confirm the judge's decision, or they don't confirm and they send it back to the court and say, you know what? You should have considered that piece of evidence. Therefore, you redo this trial, or you replay this decision that was made. You have another hearing about it and consider this piece of evidence. Now make a decision based upon that. So when you go up on appeal and something does come back to circuit court, it will come back with a detail as to what was discredited by the Court of Appeals, what they disagreed with, that now as a circuit court judge, I need to consider, because they disagree with me. And they are the higher level.
So y'all hear that. So when you all get a decision in a court matter and you're not happy, you can appeal that to the Court of Appeals, right? And then they will look at the evidence and the information, and then they'll decide whether or not is any prudence in that.
And you also asked about making decisions. So that appeal process is how we get bodies of law for judges to look back on and refer to when they're making decisions. So any decision that's gone up to the Court of Appeals is held in a library, electronic library. So when I'm sitting in my judge's quarters and I have a case that may have similar facts, we have we have a research system in which we can look at cases that are very similar and
Yeah.
see, okay, this is how the Court of Appeals saw that. And then those cases, if you don't like your decision at the Court of Appeals, you can go up to the Tennessee Supreme Court. Tennessee, so all cases that are held, rulings in the Tennessee Supreme Court are, that's the law of Tennessee.
Okay.
And so those are the cases that once they make a decision, those are what's the law in circuit court.
Ooh.
And so I can then look at for cases that have similar, because we do research as attorneys, we do research. Our judges have to do their own research. We don't have resources within our circuit court right now for independent research or helpers to
So
do
you
that.
do it yourself.
Right. So our judges are doing research on decisions that, one, we have to stay current. Their cases come out every day, Monday through Friday, from either the Court of Appeals or the Supreme Court, updating, giving us updates on cases of how these decisions are being made. So the law is ever changing, and ever building. Yes,
not revolutionary.
yes, ever building. And so we can go back and look at those cases. Like, I have a case that's very similar. In fact, let me see how the judge ruled on that. Well, I have one situation that's a little different. So it's not an exact map for me to follow, but it's certainly guidance for us to follow. So we're, and that's across the land, and we're certainly helpful. And we have cases going back to the 1800s. And when you pull them up in the system, you get to see how, cases and how we draft decisions has changed through the course of time. Whenever you pull back really old cases,
so
you're
it's
looking
important
at
that judges rule fairly and that they consider all the evidence, because if they rule wrong, they're making a precedent for someone else to come and have the same kind of case, and they got to rule the same way.
So we don't make precedents at the circuit court level. Supreme Court makes the precedents, right?
Yes,
but if there's a unique set of facts in which I'm handling, and it goes up to the Court of Appeals, and then it goes up to the Supreme Court, now the Supreme Court says, hey, there's a new set of facts here, a unique situation that we haven't held, and they get to make a decision on that. Yes. So, people taking their circuit court first level decisions and not being happy and appealing them is helping to build that body of decisions that we are later referring to. But what comes from the Tennessee Supreme Court is the president.
That's it.
Right, for state issues.
Yes,
right.
Gotcha. Well, you also, now, one last time, because I want people to know why you are the best person to get this position. We know all about the fact you're going to be making history. You've already made history because you're the first one minority to put your name on the ballot in the history of Hamilton County.
Yes.
So for that, I give you kudos for that.
Thank you.
Secondly, if you want people to vote for you, what look in that camera and tell people why Kisha Cheeks, attorney Kisha Cheeks, with all of your experience that you have. And we have information on attorney Cheeks that we can put up on the screen as well. But go ahead and tell them they've got today till 4:00 to vote. And then one more time on August 1st to vote for you. Attorney Cheeks, tell them why you're the best candidate for this job.
Well, first and foremost, I am doing the work right now, day in day, as an attorney practicing in circuit court. And that's really important. It's really important that we have a judge that's familiar with circuit court, that's been practicing in circuit court, and that's been doing the type of cases that are going to be heard in circuit court. We've talked about the heavy load of the family law cases, divorces and custody, and then the other cases, the business disputes, the personal injuries, the malpractice cases that will be heard. I'm practicing in there and I'm doing the work there. Wow. But also, it's important that we have judges on the bench that represent our community. We have a diverse community. We have a growing community of over close to 400,000 people now in Hamilton County. We are about 52% female. We have a growing minority class that's coming up in about 40%, I believe stats say. And we need our leadership. We need our leadership in our judicial system that represents that diversity that we have in our community. I'm a native of Chattanooga. I'm born and raised here. I'm a product of Hamilton County Public Schools. I graduated from Hickson High School and then went on to study at Vanderbilt University, where I studied chemical engineering, worked for some time as a chemical engineer. I've had experiences working with large companies, Fortune 100 companies and such. And so then went to law school and came back here to practice. I'm invested in this community. This is home. It's not only where I grew up, it's where I raised my family.
Yes.
I have a little one that's in our public schools right now, and she's really excited. And where she is a great school, and I'm invested in this community and have been for many, many, many years. I'm excited. Campaigning. I get to say on Sundays I visit churches, and then I go back to my church. I call it a double blessing, Dr. Woods. So, but I've been going to the same church since I was 6 years old. And now I'm raising my family
in that church. What church is that?
World's Church of the Living God.
All right, y'all.
World's Church of the Living God.
Oh,
Great supporters. Love that is my church family, and I'm so appreciative of the support that they've been giving to me during my campaign, but the support they've been giving me all my life. They do that every day. They didn't just start doing it in this campaign. They've been doing it all my life, and so just being out in the community, the organizations that I'm a part of, I'm able to give pro bono legal services to our seniors, working with them, particularly the senior AARP group, working with them just to make sure, one, they have their estate planning needs. But sometimes our seniors just need someone to make a phone call.
Amen.
They don't know. They're being charged for internet when they don't have a computer because they misunderstood somebody on the phone and they get a bill and it's like, how am I going to pay this bill? And so sometimes, they just need a phone call. So I love working with my seniors and just donating my time there. I participate and sit on boards in different organizations where we're giving scholarships to youth. We're mentoring youth in our community actively. I'm a mentor for a couple of different young people in the community, but also mental health.
Oh, that's
mental health initiative. We could do
that's
a whole nother show on that one.
Back and talk about mental health.
Yes, but just so important, mental health in our community, or even it's important in our profession as attorneys, our mental health. And think about it on a judicial, someone who's on the bench. So, I would like everyone to come out and vote for me. I hope that you have heard something today in getting to know me and talking with Dr. Woods that helped you understand first and foremost the circuit court system and what's important and why we need Kisha on the bench.
All right.
And if you have any other questions or you want more information, we have our website, Cheats for Judge. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. If you send a message on my website, Kisha is answering you. I check that email myself. People don't believe it. I do. That's right. I responded to you. I checked that website.
That information if we can. Our marketing director over there will post it on the screen because we want people to be able to call you, to reach out to you if they want to volunteer. I mean, we got another week, y'all. We got almost a week. We got 6 days or so left. You can get those sometimes that matters. That last 5 days or whatever, really matters. You can get signs out. You can go knock on doors. You can be at the polling site. Well, the sites where people go vote.
We are taking volunteers for people who want to be at the polling locations on Thursday. So, if you have an hour or two, go on the site, put your contact in. Again, I will see it. I look at all of that.
She does.
I really do. Because it's important. Sometimes people send questions and I answer them. And I don't know if they're surprised. Like, it's really you. Like, yes, it's really me. It's not someone on my campaign team. And I answered you at 2:00 in the morning. But
so y'all see on the bottom of the page on our ticker how to reach out to Attorney Kisha Cheeks directly on her website. And did we have a phone number on there as well? So
if you are on the website, our phone number's there on the website there for you can call, and you have any questions, someone answer your questions, or you leave a message and we'll get back to you. But again, if you're on the website and you go in that contact, I will respond to you.
Yes. Well, there it is, you all. You have it. Attorney Kisha Cheeks today in the house at WPTP. She has given us a truckload of information, a wealth of information from family, dealing with divorces, the contracts, dealing with people on the job, and all that in between, and what she does every single day. So she is experienced. She knows her job well. She knows what she has to do when she gets this appointment, when she's elected. She's beautiful. She's young. I like to say that. And beautiful and young, most importantly, super intelligent. And also she has got the experience in the judge, in the court system, and knows exactly exactly how to handle these cases. So I just want to say to all of you that are out there, look her up, talk to her, call her, ask any questions you want to ask of her, and get that before you go to the polls. Go to the polls educated. Know your candidates, and line up with those individuals who line up with you. And that's the best advice I can give.
That's right.
And I got my button on, and it
Vote.
says,
It says vote.
"Soar to the polls. Take 4 or more in 24." So I'm gonna take more than 4 people to the polls, but it's very important that you go vote. Your voice is so important. Every single vote, we cannot express that enough. People have lost by 5 votes.
Yes.
5 people. That's
People
been
have
5 people.
Won by 5 votes. Someone lost by 5. Someone won by 5. That's
you
right.
got to get in there. And if you go to the polls and they say, "Oh, we don't see your name," it's possible that you're at the wrong polling, at the wrong location. Go ahead and ask for a provisional ballot. Let them give you a vote anyway. Don't leave discouraged. Ask for a provisional ballot. Even if they say we don't see you registered, and you're going to challenge that later, but do vote. Stay there, make that vote, and then challenge it after the election's over. But don't leave and not vote anywhere.
That's right.
Go ahead and vote. And because they changed a lot of the precincts, some people used to vote across the street. Now that's not their precinct, or that precinct is closed, and now they don't know where to go. They haven't studied where they're supposed to go by their address. So after early vote, you can't just go anywhere. All of a sudden, you got to go where you live. Right. So if you don't know where your polling site is, I invite all of you to go to the website, the Election Commission website, and you can put your address in. It'll tell you exactly where your location is, where you're supposed to go and vote. And heck, call Kisha. She'll tell you where you're supposed to go.
The site is on our website. If you don't find the link yourself, if you come on our site, it'll direct you to tap there, and you can find out redirect you to the Election Commission site, so you can find out. But you want to have a plan and know where you're going. Even in the primaries, we saw a lot of people going to different polls and such in the wrong locations because they were moved, and they get discouraged. Right. I saw someone that had been at 3 different locations, but they stayed at it. It. And so don't get discouraged, but try to have a plan. Go find out where you're supposed to be in advance.
Yes.
But don't get discouraged. If it rains, I was out there in the rain last year. I'm going to be out there in the rain if it rains on Thursday.
It's a rumor. When it rains, when it's cold, certain people don't go to the polls. They don't go vote.
We got to go. We have to show up. We have to show up.
You have to go.
Rain or shine, I'll be on the bench. So you got to show up for me on Thursday.
Amen. Okay? Amen, y'all. And so this is going to wrap it up for part 1. We have part 2 with Judge Alex McVeagh. He's already in the house, waiting out there in the waiting area. And he's going to be talking about him as the next circuit court judge for Hamilton County. And y'all remember now, this is a county-wide election. So you better get your little honeys out there and go to the polls and vote, because people are excited about this election. They're excited about this election year. So people are going to be voting all over Hamilton County. So this is not just a citywide election with this particular position, this judgeship. This is county-wide. That means all out there inside of Daisy, Hickson, you name it. It's all over. Hamilton County spreads a lot of area.
That's right.
So you all please go out and vote. And we love you. And give us about 2 minutes to reset. And we'll be right back. here. I'm telling you, I'm full of joy and happiness because we have a very interesting race. It is the Hamilton County Circuit Court Judge race right here in Chattanooga, Hamilton County going on. And you all have heard from Miss Attorney Kisha Cheek earlier. And now we have her opponent. I like to say friend.
Friend.
Yeah, friend who's also running for the same seat, Judge Alex McVeagh. How are you today?
I am great. Thank you for having me, Dr. Woods. Really, thank you guys. It's an honor to be here, talk to you and talk to your listeners today.
Yes, we are super excited because I like it when both candidates have something to bring to the table and then they duke it out a little bit in a friendly way. And then you as the voter get the opportunity to pick and choose who lines up with your values. Who do you think would be the best person to take this position? And that's what WPTP is here for. We're here to give it to you, let you hear it. And if you have any questions, allow you to give them the opportunity to give their information to you so you can call them, work for them, do whatever it is that you want to do. That's why we're here. And we like to keep you engaged. We like to keep you educated. And we like to give you the opportunity to be a part of this city and what's happening in this county. So welcome.
Thank you. I got to catch a little bit here at the end of Ms. Cheeks' interview with you, and I just wanted to say, I mean, what you won't hear today, I think, from either one of us are campaigning where we're bad mouthing the other one. I think we're kind of sick of that.
I know, I am too. Let's not do that. We're not gonna do that because guess what? Every time you let her name come out of your mouth, then you're putting her name in somebody's mind. So I learned that. Don't say your opponent's name. Don't even say nothing. Just focus on you and what you've got to offer and let that resonate in the person's mind over and over and over.
Certainly. And that's how we've been campaigning, not on anyone else's record, but our own is kind of our vision for the court. So
absolutely.
Again, no negativity here. And it's a breath of fresh air.
I love it. I love it. So I want to start off by just asking you to tell the audience a little bit about who you are, because people may not know you and they may not have even heard of you, even though you've served as a judge and currently serving as a judge and was appointed by Governor Lee. People may not have ever even been in your court. So they may not know. And that's a good thing if they've not been in your court, right? But tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and just, give us a good feeling of who you are.
No, it's been my honor to serve your listeners for close to 7 years now, actually more than 7 years. Governor Haslam actually appointed me in 2017 to be a temporary judge, to kind of fill in for a judge that was receiving some cancer treatment. That temporary nature of the appointment, he ended up not coming back. He was in remission, so he made it. But,
praise God.
But never was able. His cancer was in his throat, Judge Bales, and he was never able to come back to the bench. And so my law firm at the time, they were excited to have me. They got a lot of good press about their associate being appointed by the governor to be a judge, and so but they anticipated that I would be back a few months later, and those few months turned into 7 years. So
absolutely,
it's been my honor to serve as your county judge for 7 years.
Wow.
I am a general sessions court judge. What that means, I know a lot of folks don't know the different sorts of courts, and that's a good thing. But general sessions courts, we are your county court. So every county in Tennessee has one. Think of us, though, as kind of your emergency room of the court system.
Mm-hmm.
We're your high volume. I might hear everything from a homicide that happened last night to a public intox charge, to a drug charge, to an eviction, to a car wreck, to a $2 million commercial lease dispute. All right, those cases will all come in front of me. We hear on average 40 to 60,000 criminal cases a year.
Wow.
And 10 to 15,000 civil cases. And so
to one person.
So there are 5 of us. So we have
okay.
5 judges, and we divide those up. But we did the math, and me personally, over 7 years, we've calculated that I've been assigned or presided over 80,000 cases. Me personally.
Get out of here.
It was a good thing when I was appointed. I believe one of the youngest judges in the country 7 years ago when I was appointed, and so I needed every bit of that stamina to kind of drinking from the fire hose to get up to speed. But I love my current job. In addition to the 80,000 cases I've presided over, it's also been my honor to work with the community and start a drug recovery court. So
I love it.
I work every day with folks with severe substance use issues, mental health issues, and the goal is to get them out of Silverdale, help them become tax-paying, productive members of society who are combating and prevailing over their substance use disorder every single day. And again, I'm just really proud of that program. We have a team of about 20 that I supervise, along with Judge Amanda Dunn, who's the felony judge, and I'm just so proud of that program. I can talk to you, and I won't.
Yeah,
I won't
but we're
do
gonna
that
have
for,
you come back
for
on.
hours and hours and hours.
We're gonna have him back on the show, because that is another show too.
It would be amazing for folks in the community, particularly certain folks that historically, for cultural reasons, aren't always asking for substance use help. I really want to make sure that individuals know who might be in Silverdale right now that there's another option than just serving time in jail. That if you have a severe substance use disorder, you can come into this program, recoverycourt.org. I'm passionate about it. I'll talk about it forever. I'll stop right now. But again, it's something that I actually do in my spare time. So
wow.
A job that I think could be a full-time job in and of itself. I do that on Monday and Monday evenings. And then pretty much every day I might get a text message from a case manager saying, so-and-so has cut their GPS off, or we need to, get somebody into
they do that too.
Oh yeah. We need to get somebody into inpatient treatment. Can you sign a furlough order? So really just a lot of work, but I'm passionate about it. I lost someone who I consider my brother growing up. He's my biological cousin, but I lost him to an Oxycontin overdose. And I think everyone probably here either knows
somebody has had
else,
that happen.
Has passed away to an Oxycontin or an opioid overdose. So I'm passionate about it, but that's what I do currently for every Hamilton County taxpayer and every voter and every citizen here in our great county. A little bit about me. I'm originally from Lafayette, Louisiana, so a raging Cajun. I like to go eat. We have a couple. I'm not allowed as a judge to promote certain restaurants, but we got some good Cajun food in town. I will say. I can also make a mean gumbo. That's a challenge. Now you got to come to my house and do that. I'm telling you. Do you put what you put in your gumbo? So I don't put tomatoes. That give me acid burn. No tomatoes. That's more of a Creole gumbo. A Cajun gumbo is a dark roux, and I like to put in fresh seafood. So I like to put in oysters and shrimp. And what about the crab legs? I like to put in lump crab meat in my gumbo as well. But I'm originally from Louisiana. What brought me up to Tennessee, I attended Vanderbilt University. So I have a degree in economics from Vanderbilt. I also got my law degree from Vanderbilt and came out to Chattanooga. Originally with the girl, but came out here, but also came out here for a job. At least he tells the truth. He's honest. I came out here for a job as well, and I got to work at Chambliss, Bonner, and Stoffel. Actually, at the time, Miss Cheeks was my coworker, so she briefly worked at Chambliss as well. I know I'm not supposed to say my opponent's name, so no, that's okay. But so we actually briefly worked together. But I came and I worked at one of the best law firms in this community, and that's what brought me here. But what I realized is that I might not be from Chattanooga, but it's my chosen hometown. I want to stay here and hopefully raise my family here one day. I think this is the place that I can't think of any other city quite like this. I mean, it is. I absolutely love this community, and I've been happy to call it home since 2012, and look forward to continuing to call it home. And so worked, and we can talk a little bit about that. Worked in circuit court. Worked in circuit court as a lawyer at Chambliss, so a lot of experience dealing with the sorts of cases that will be coming to this court. And then, as I mentioned earlier, was appointed by Governor Haslam. The citizens. You all have a reputation over there, that Chambliss, because I'm telling you, when someone sees that firm name representing them, and they're having to go against them, they go, "Oh my God!" Yeah, I mean, you all have a reputation, so I know you were a darn good attorney. So they wouldn't. I tried. Again, a great place to learn, to work. I was a Georgia and Tennessee lawyer in local, state, and federal cases across the country. So really got to learn a lot. And it was my honor to be appointed. I actually ran for election in 2022 and was actually overwhelmingly elected by the citizens of Hamilton County. I'm currently a nonpartisan, so local judges are not Republican, Democrat, but so I'm currently a nonpartisan judge. State level judges are, there is a letter next to our name, but really, I don't really know quite why that is. A judge is a judge. There's not a Republican judge or a Democrat judge. A judge needs to apply the law. And so it's my honor, though, to run for this judgeship. But and again, just I appreciate you having me on.
Yes. So, well, we can get into that a little bit, but it doesn't really matter, because we all should be looking at the person based on who they align with the best. And I know there's a lot of stuff going on nationwide with Democrats versus Republican, blah, blah, blah. You know what's going on. But you all need to look at the person and then search some of his cases that he's had to rule on and how he rules on them. And what I'm really impressed about is the fact that he's working in the community. And I had an opportunity to talk to you a little bit about the diversion program here with Alton Park Development Corporation. He doesn't directly deal with the diversion program, but he's in a position where he can work with the people that do to work with us. Yep. And so diversion program, if you don't know what that is, someone gets into trouble, and you can probably explain a little bit better than me. They have some options. And sometimes the option is not to send them to prison, but to give them an opportunity to work it out in the community doing community services. And so here at Alton Park Development Corporation, we have had the opportunity many times to help people avoid prison, well, in lieu of prison, do community service. And so he's involved with that. And I'm very excited about that because, it doesn't do anybody any good if they're in prison, they're not working, they're not with their families, and they're becoming more institutionalized as they're in prison. So I love that program. And so I applaud you for working with anything that has to deal with people who need a second chance and who need an alternative chance to prison.
Yep. No, and I agree. And not only, folks deserve a second chance often, but again, we're looking out not only for this individual and hopefully helping turn their life around, but also for the community.
Absolutely.
If somebody's going to spend some time in custody and immediately be back out, recommitting the same offense,
cutting that recidivism rate down.
So what can we be doing? That's one of the, whether it's community service, whether that's mandatory, anger management classes, whether it's things that we can actually help somebody grow and progress so that they're breaking this cycle of addiction, cycle of crime, cycles of poverty, really, that are all tied together. That's what I think will help keep this community safe. And so I certainly think there's a time and place for incarceration. There's reasons that particularly violent folks, you might need to spend time at Silverdale, but a lot of others, we don't want to just set them up to be right back there.
Right.
And so can we think outside the box? My graduates, if you graduate from my diversion drug recovery court diversion program, my graduates, I only have an 11% recidivism rate. That's compared to a 70% national
89% of your people go on.
89% of my folks are not back in the criminal justice system. They're starting their own businesses. They're buying their first houses. I had a gentleman started an HVAC company, had 4 employees when he graduated drug recovery court. So many years of sobriety. And again, I just think you're having drug-free babies, breaking cycles of generational drug use and recidivism. So I think we need more programs like that. And I've been proud to be a part of many in our community.
Absolutely. And and when you think about the family, when one person in your family is on drugs, it doesn't just affect that one person. It affects the whole family. Lord forbid if they have children, they have a spouse. I mean, it just goes on. The list goes on and on and on. And then you're talking about wreaking havoc on the community that they live in. So it's very important that those individuals get help that they need. And that's why when I look at the president, who I'm going to pick and choose, I'm going to be looking at who's going to be funding programs at the federal level that will trickle down into the state and then back to the municipalities to fund those programs that help people, number one, return back to civilization and that they can be functional citizens in society. That is so needed. And dealing with the mental issues that some of these people encounter as well, because some people are in prison because they're mentally unstable,
or they have a co-occurring substance use and mental health
issue,
and they're self-medicating to treat their mental health issue. And again, you can put someone in custody, but if they're going to be right back and there's no plan to make sure they're receiving their proper medication, that they're just going to be right back, terrorizing the streets, their families and their own bodies.
Right, and funding the police where they get the additional training. So I'm not for defunding the police. I'm for making sure that the funds that are used in the police department is going to be utilized. That's going to help make our communities a better and safer place, which means that the police officers, if they get extra funding, it needs to be in training the police officer how to deal with people who have mental illnesses and who also have drug addiction issues. So, because some of them are afraid. I mean, some of the people that are addicted and have these other mental illnesses, they can they can bring fear when they're approached.
Yeah, and we have a great crisis intervention team training program here that both the sheriff department and the Chattanooga Police Department. It's been an honor. I actually spoke at their graduation a few weeks ago.
Is that the first class?
So there's been a few classes now,
few.
And we actually offer CPD, and the sheriff's department actually offers this training not only to local law enforcement but also some East Ridge, Cleveland. There was some Georgia officers, but it's just so important that more of our officers take advantage of this training because it teaches you how to intervene in a crisis.
It ought to be required,
and it's not.
It ought to be required.
But if you see some of these officers have a CIT badge pin on their uniform, and that means they have been trained to intervene in times of crisis where arrest might not be the appropriate way to address the situation. It might be a referral to a mental health or a substance use provider, and they're able to de-escalate a situation.
Yeah, that's the word.
Is
that's
present.
The word.
So
de-escalate.
I'm really proud of that program and being a part of it, and being asked to speak, and also shaking hands with all those graduates. I mean, it's just so important for our community.
Oh, that is so awesome. So, and when I think about who to vote for, and this is not saying one way or the other with you or your opponent, but I look at what the person can bring to the table in terms of experience, what they've already done, and what they're doing in the community, what unique programs they have. I would like to say your name on it in the sense that you maybe have introduced the program and have your name or title on it. That brings me warm. Because because I think to myself, I know this person is a fair person because he or she has done XYZ. And I like for people when they go to the poll, and I'll be taking people to the poll, I got my official button on, to think about before you go, read up on the candidates. I say that all the way, and I'm neutral across the board on this. Read up on the candidates. Look and see what they've done. Look and see what type of experience they had and what job they're trying to apply for. When someone comes and apply for a job with me, and I've been practicing 34 years, and I've got 5 or 10 people wanting the same job, the first thing I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to watch them when they walk in and see if they walk slow or if they got a little skip pep to the step, because I want to know, is this person lazy or they're going to drag their feet? Then I go straight into the mode of let me get educated about who this person is. That means, do they have the experience? What type of things have they done? How many years have they done it? What is their success rate? Have they changed jobs over and over and over and over? Have they been pretty much at the same place doing the same thing? When you go to the poll to vote, you need to be looking up Judge McVeigh's history, and you need to be looking up Attorney Kisha Cheek's history, and you need to be studying them, and also not just what they've done, but how they align up with your principle, morals, and values, because that's very important as well. Because that's one of the most important jobs you can have is to be the judge in circuit court for Hamilton County. That's a big, big position, and we want someone who's going to be fair. I like the fact that in fact, we want to invite you to come out, and I'll do the same thing for Attorney Cheeks. We're having a big event here today. A family's having a ugly shoe event today, family get together, and they're interested in the candidates coming to talk to them today and just mingling with them and getting to know them, that kind of thing. You're welcome to come back. He does that kind of stuff. He comes out into the community, Kisha does too, and mingles with the folk. But it was really good to see you come to my beauty shop just last week and talk to the people, and he made a big impact just stopping in. They didn't know him from Adam's apple, but when a person walks in a room and they can start talking to people the way you can talk to people, and earn their trust just from talking to you, that's pretty big in my book. That's pretty big in my book.
And it's I work for you. The Hamilton County voters don't work for me. I work for you guys. And it's incumbent upon your leaders to show up and hear what's important to you, to talk about the different courts, to say what's at issue here. Because again, if we're not, and it's not certain parts of town early. I mean, you'll see my signs everywhere from, Bakewell to Austin Park to, I mean, you've probably been sick of seeing my signs for the last year. But I
thought you were running for president.
I go. But again, it's just so important because that's part of my job. Courts are intentionally non-political, and so you don't want your judges campaigning all the time. All right, and that's a good thing. But you also need your judges to be out in the community to make sure they know what's going on, what's important in their communities. And so it's an honor it was an honor to be on Glass Street all day on Saturday visiting with folks and hearing what's important to folks. And sometimes I have to say I can't comment on that.
And you explain why. You explain why you can't. So tell us, Judge McVeagh, I'm going to the poll today, or I'm going to the poll on August the 1st. Tell us your platform, what you stand on, and then why, now you're a Republican by trade. I guess you could say that. We said we're going to say that, and Kisha's a Democrat, but we're going to throw that out. We're going to throw that out because I'm what you call bipolitical. That means I go both ways. That means, if you can persuade me over here that you've got the best deal going on your camp, I may vote Republican. If you can persuade me that you got the best thing going in your camp, I'm going to vote Democrat. I'm going to look at your character. I'm going to look at your track record. I'm going to be an informed voter, and I'm going to look at what you've done in the past. I'm going to look at what and how you've judged in the past and how that impact people that look like me, people that look like me, that live like me, people that work like me. And I'm going to see what advantage I'm going to have with you versus the other person. So now you look into the camera and you say, these are my platforms. And this is why you should vote for me versus my opponent, because blah, 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 blah. And now they're ready. They're ready to hear.
Now they're ready. Well, really, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's talk can be a bit cheap. It's one thing to say something on the campaign stump or to say you're going to do X, Y, or Z. But I'll promise you, they don't teach you how to be a judge in law school. They don't teach you how to be a judge in your own practice. I mean, it is so not only can I say what I hope to do, but you also have a record with me.
Mm-hmm,
all right. 7 years as your judge, your county judge. Every 8 years, every lawyer in Hamilton County, a member of the Bar Association, they rank their judges. And that's every judge in all the different courts. And the last time they did a poll, I was at the top of that list.
Wow.
And it was an honor. And what that told me, when they rated me high in moral character, diligence, judicial temperament, and legal abilities, what that told me is that the lawyers in this community, regardless if they win a case or lose a case in front of me, they know they've gotten a fair shot. They know they've gotten a judge who treats every person or business in front of them with the same level of respect, whether someone has a lawyer or doesn't have a lawyer because they can't afford one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Whether somebody is black, is white, is Hispanic, whether someone's male, female, old or young, they know whether it's a small business or a publicly traded business. They know when they come in front of me, they're getting a judge who will calmly and fairly decide that case, apply those facts to the law as written, and is going to leave my emotions or any preconceived notions I might have about a subject in the car. There's no place for that on the bench. I think most folks will agree, listening to this show, that we have far too much politics in our courtrooms all over the country. You need to be able to walk into a courtroom, and you need that judge to help ease the tensions.
Yes.
Actually help reduce the stress. Let the facts clearly be persuaded to the judge and or the jury who might be present.
Yes.
And ultimately let justice be done, whatever that might look like. But I just think, sometimes you have attorneys who drag out cases for years because, one thing, they keep getting paid.
They milking the bank. They milking the bank account. They milking it.
I don't know why we have some cases that drag on for so long. You need a judge that will go in there fairly and as cost efficiently.
Yes.
Allow this case to be decided so that parties can move on with their lives. And so I guess I don't call it a platform because I'm intentionally not a politician. I know I'm running for office, but again, as a judge, we have very strict rules. So it's actually illegal. You won't ever see me with a Kamala or a Trump Vice President Harris or President Trump sticker on me. That would be illegal. It would violate the rules of a judicial candidate. You will never see me on the side of the road holding up a sign for a school board member. That would violate the code of judicial conduct. So you mentioned R or D, but really, your judge is intentionally non-political. And it's important because you want that, when you go in front of your judge, you don't want to have to worry if that judge, because they're too Democrat or too Republican, or because they're certain this or that they're going to rule a certain way. That has no place in our courts. The judge, when you go in front of your judge, that's going to be one of the most important days of your life. The custody of your child might be at stake. Your small business might go under if you lose this case. You might be, you might have had a loved one killed and you're there as a witness for a homicide case. That is one of the most important days of your life. And you need a judge that has the experience and the temperament and the legal ability and knowledge, so that when you walk out of that courtroom, you might not have won, everything that you think you won, but at least you got a fair shot. And you're not going to be appealing for years and years and paying all the funds and money that it costs to appeal erroneous decisions that your judge might give. It's important that our community has a judge that will help folks, regardless of how much that they can afford to buy the best lawyer. You have your day in court and you got your fair shot.
I love it.
I'm running.
Woo, and the doors of the church are open. Lord have mercy. He has preached up in here today.
I have a friend here today, a volunteer on my campaign, Mr. James, and Mr. James volunteers on lots of different campaigns, and he actually approached me.
He's bipolitical too.
But I think it's important that something James does. He actually sits in courtrooms, and I don't think we have enough folks that do that. Go sit in your local courtroom. Anyone that's listening, they can reach out to me. I know my contact will be up there. I know Dr. Woods, your contact information will be up there. If anyone wants to sit next to me on the bench and actually see how a case, in real life, you will see a case, you contact me, reach out to me. I'll let you come sit, or your child sit up next to me. But one of the good things James does, I think he holds a lot of judges and public officials accountable, because he sits in county commission meetings and watches. He sits and he sees the different sorts of judges and how they rule. And so I'm just really honored that James, offered to help me and not my opponent beat me. And so I'm just really appreciative, because I think hopefully he sees somebody that's a good judge for their community.
Wow. So James, speak a little bit. We brought him on. This is James Gilliam. And I know most of the people in the community know you. Almost 90% of Chattanooga know you, especially if they're in the political world. Into the judges, attorneys, and folks like that in business. They are familiar with who you are. So first of all, thank you for coming on the show. I think this is your first time coming on WPTP radio. And I want to let you know that I'm very happy to have you on the show. So go ahead. You've got your turn to talk about Mr. Judge McVeagh, your man.
Reason why I vote for Judge McVeagh is when he took Judge Bell place. I never met him. I came up to him. He didn't know who I was. And I would tell him, you gonna want for Judge C? He said, nah, cause he might come back. I said, I wait a couple months and went back to him again. He said he really don't know. I said the judge courtroom to review the cases, stuff. He a fair judge. I don't care if you're black or white, Hispanic. I'm gonna have a young lady, the House Authority tried to get put out cause they had issue in the office. And he did rule the case to help that young lady to get she would not get put out on the street cause they had beef in the office. Some people, I don't like when people got power. Use their power cause you got conflict with one another. My job is in politics. I've been in politics 30 years. My granddad CB Robinson. My politics name is Lil CB. And I work with Democrat and Republican, and I mostly vote with Republican. I had Democrats. See, I went with Republican. Every case, every campaign I ran, I won my candidate win because I know the ins and out, and I know I go in courtroom. I have to represent people who could not could not afford a attorney. I speak to the judge and at the judge put them under my arm and let me work with them that going to jail. You know, cause you put people in jail, what they gonna do? They gonna come back out and do the same thing. What I do is create them, work with them, get them a job, and work with them, talk to them, and educate them. Because when I came up, I had granddaddy, uncle, politician to kept me in the right line. I would not be selling drugs, robbing folks, shooting folks. I had a mean mama. I was scared. I was scared of my mama then with the police, and and I like my dad more I did my mama.
But it's so important though. I mean, we're sharing a microphone. It's so important because I think people like James that care about folks in our community, having him, if he's at the courthouse and he might go talk to somebody outside about their situation. I mean, I think it's important having community advocates that are actually holding judges accountable, holding your public officials accountable. James goes to county commission meetings. And again, we work for you. You don't work for us. And so the fact that James asked to volunteer for my campaign, I was really honored because I'm hoping you keep your record. I hope you stay undefeated in this race. But again, I just think that hopefully, and James doesn't just help anybody. He's particular. And so I just think it's so important that your judge, I mean, you can have all the experience in certain types of cases that you want, but ultimately no one's going to know what you're going to be like when you're sitting up there with that black robe on.
Amen.
Black robe fever is something that we hear sometimes.
Yes.
And somebody that James talked about, that power, some judges in the country that some power might go to their heads. And so what I've just been really honored at is that the folks in our community don't see me as one of those judges. They see, if anything, somebody that's willing to go talk to anybody in a barbershop, to work with folks with substance use issues, and ultimately, hopefully, to use those experiences in circuit court. Because I think I might be the only, if I'm elected, I might be one of the only circuit court judges ever that has 80,000 cases under his belt of judicial experience, that has heard everything from homicides to a $2 million commercial lease dispute, that has because most circuit judges don't have a lot of criminal experience, because again, circuit court is not criminal court. But what I think that criminal law experience provides me, when there's a domestic dispute, I'm used to seeing violations of orders of protection, domestic assault cases with high emotions. Well, guess what also has a high emotion?
What is it?
When someone's child is they're at risk of losing parental rights, or they're fighting over permanent custody and parenting time with their child, or after a divorce, dividing up assets. Emotions are high. And with me, you have someone who is used to taking an emotion-filled room, calming it down, applying the facts to the law, and clearly and fairly delivering an opinion that everyone can hopefully live with. And so I hope to use that criminal law experience on the circuit court bench.
And he will. I've already researched some of the cases that you and Kisha both have done. I have been most impressed with the type of cases that have come before you and how you ruled in those cases. So a lot of people don't want to do the homework. They just want to listen to people talk. But if you really want to know the truth, if you really want to find out about these candidates, don't listen to other people talk. Don't listen to the radio and the television. Open up your computers or whatever. Go in the courtroom like James does. Sit down and listen to them and watch how they judge and rule, and then read up on some of the cases they've had, like I've done with both you and Kisha. And then you'll understand their experience. You won't have to take it from anybody else. You'll have firsthand knowledge of who you're dealing with when you go in there and push that button. And that's why I want to get across. Don't go to the polls an uneducated voter. Go to the polls as an educated voter, understanding why you're voting for someone, making sure that they line up with your morals and principles, not based on whether or not they're a Democrat or a Republican. But yes, most of the time, when we talk about who's lining up with us, if you're talking about on a federal level, it probably don't line up with you, or it may line up really with you. I'm bipolitical because I can benefit from both parties. I'm an African-American woman who happens to be in that top income bracket of America. So I benefit on both sides. So when I go in to vote for someone, I'm going to look at each individual candidate, study what they stand for, and make sure they line up with my principles and line up with who I am and what I represent as an African-American woman and my family. So that's what I would challenge everybody out there to do. You've heard Judge McVeagh. You've heard Attorney Kisha Cheeks. You've heard both of them. Now you need to do your homework. And you don't have a lot of time because today is the last day of early voting. I think the polls close at 4 o'clock. But you have an opportunity to call Judge McVeagh today. We're going to blow your phone up today.
Right, let's do it.
Give him your phone number.
Call me. I think we have my campaign number as well as my email address. But not only do you have until 4 p.m. today, you have next Thursday as well.
Yes.
The numbers in this election have been extraordinarily low. And I think a lot of folks that are listening right now might even be surprised that we're in the middle of an election. All right. Not only do you need to get to the polls, but you need to go educated, as Dr. Wood just mentioned. But we got to get folks to the polls. Everyone wants to think about just your national elections, and they're important. Your presidential election in November is going to be important. But you know what's equally, if not more important, to your everyday life? All right, to your small business, to your child, what they're learning in their schools, to the way in which you're going to be treated in a courtroom. You know what's even more important are your local councilmen and your state reps and your state senators and your judges. All right, local elections matter.
They do.
But sadly, they are some of the lowest, turnout elections that we have. And right now, we are on track to have a historically dismal and low election turnout.
Wow.
So everyone listening to this, whether you vote for me or not, all right, I want you to participate in this process. You can't complain if you don't take 2 minutes to go vote. All right. I just think that's you got to get to the polls. It's so important. I mean, the folks that have died for the rights to get to the polling places, and then folks sit at home because I know you have life. I know you're going to be busy today. I know you're going to be busy on Thursday, but make a plan to vote. It is too important. We cannot take that right for granted. We have to get to the polls.
That's right. And, we're talking about right now on the national level, they're thinking right now about they've taken away women's reproductive rights, which, here or there, whether you're on one side or the other. But the power to take away your right to vote is on the line on a national level. That means all this stuff you're doing now, just sitting around, not really caring who's going to be your next judge or who's going to be your next state representative. It's going to matter when they show up at the state level to make a decision, which is going to filter down to your local level. It's going to matter. So you need, like Judge McVeagh just said, you need to participate in your local elections so that you'll have a voice from Chattanooga and Hamilton County that will radiate all the way up through your state representatives, to your U.S. congressman, all the way up to the president and your Supreme Court justices. You need to make sure your voice is heard. That's why I got my shirt on. Use your voice. What is your voice? Your voice is that right to go in the poll and elect a politician, or whatever you want to call it, elect a candidate that will best represent you. Do not give that right up, because you know what else is on the line to talk about. Now I'm going to talk about poverty a little bit. You got it. People in poverty have had it pretty good. They got the food stamps. They got their Medicaid insurance, and they've got housing. Section 8 housing. They living pretty good. They eating on the hog. Everything's pretty good. But what happens when you stop going to the poll to elect people that represent you? You're going to have those things taken away. And when they're taken away, it ain't easy to get them back. They're fighting right now to get women's reproductive rights back. It's been taken away nationwide, except for maybe 2 or 3 states in the South. But I'm telling you, I'm telling you, I'm begging you. I'm begging you to exercise your right to vote. Even if you vote for him or if you vote for Chief, just go do it. And I had a friend that's making t-shirts. She makes t-shirts. And there was this biblical phrase on the top, the verse in the Bible. And then the bottom of it says, let's make our country pray again. It didn't say let's make our country great again. It says let's make our country pray again. Because if you're not praying, there's no telling what this country is going to look like tomorrow. There's no telling. And I have a feeling that God's hands is on America. His hand is on America, y'all. And that's why at the end of the show, I always tell y'all, today is Saturday, tomorrow is Sunday. That means you need to give the Lord some praise. If you haven't been praising him all week, which you should be, but tomorrow is God's day, give him his day. If you don't have a church home, you can always watch church live stream right in your bedroom, in your kitchen, your living room. You don't even have to leave your house to find a church to praise and worship with. And you're always welcome to Greater Emmanuel Apostolic Church, located at 400 Tunnel Boulevard, where Pastor, I always do this. I always get a brain. Paul Warfield. Thank you. Paul Warfield is our senior pastor. You're always welcome to come there and praise the Lord with us. But do that. Do that. And somewhere along the way, as you're praying, as you're lifting God up, God will put his hands on you. And whatever you're going through today, whatever you're going through tomorrow, whatever you've been going through, God will work it out. God will work it out. And don't be surprised if he work it out and you don't like how he worked it out, because it's all going to go in your favor. It's all going to go in your favor at the end. I've learned that. It's all going to go in your favor at the end. When we have troubles and we're in the midst of a storm, we always cry, and we always, we go into depressive modes. But then tomorrow comes, or the next week, or the next month, and you look back and you say, oh, that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. But when I was going through it, I didn't realize it. That's how God works. That's how wonderful it is. If he loves you and you're his child, he's not going to do what you want him to do. He's going to do what's best for you. That's why when you pray, if you're in his hands, you always say, God, let it be your will, not my will, because I'm too dumb to know what I'm really stepping into. So this is what I like to see happen. But if it's not in your will, Lord, put the roadblock up. You all know I was the first African-American woman to run for city mayor, but God put a roadblock there. It wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. And it was the best thing I could have ever have happened to me, because I was able to do bounds of things more than what I could ever have done in that position. So you all, I'm telling you all, give him praise and glory. Tomorrow is Sunday. This is Judge Alex McVeagh. I'm going to give him the last word to say. They're going out to the polls today. If they miss today, they're going out Thursday. Tell them what to do, why to do it, how to do it, and anything else you want to say.
4 p.m. today, you can vote at the Chris Ramsey Center on Northmore Road. You can vote at the Collegedale Commons. You can vote at the Highway 58 Volunteer Firefighting Training Center on Snow Hill Road. You can vote at the Election Commission on Amnicola. You can vote at the Hickson Community Center. All right. You have 6 locations that you can vote at. The Saudi Daisy Community Center. Vote all of those locations. Polls close at 4. If you can't vote today by 4, do your research and get out to your precinct. Next Thursday, August the 1st, you have until 8 p.m. to vote on Election Day. If you don't know your voting precinct, you can go to elect.hamiltontn.gov and find out where exactly you vote in case you've moved. It is too important. Local elections matter. That judge, that's going to be one of the most important days of your life.
Yes.
All right. Don't roll the dice. All right. Make sure that you know that judge in front of you is going to apply the facts fairly, regardless of who you are. I hope to be that person. I hope I've earned you and convinced you to gain your vote. But if I haven't, I still implore you to get to the polls today or next Thursday.
All right.
The last question, I need everybody know me to come out and vote for Judge McVeagh.
Thank you.
And soccer, yeah, the judge don't do what they say I'm gonna do, I will jump on the judge.
I've seen him do that. I've
You
seen
know,
him do that.
No, my job is go in the courtroom, see how the judge do the case. Yeah, I see the judge doing something wrong,
He'll say it.
and I will have meet with the judge, and we do that case over because it ain't fair.
Well, thank you.
You
No, I
know,
agree, James. Again, he holds you accountable, and he'll hold every judge and elected official accountable. So thank you for being here today, James.
no problem.
All right. Well, that sums it up, you all. We love you here at WPTP. You know, you can always come on to discuss anything you want to talk about and what's happening in your neck of the woods. Alton Park Development Corporation is the owner of WPTP radio station. We have a magnificent African-American museum. We invite all of you all to come out to see our African-American museum. It is the first of its kind here in Chattanooga. And we also have an event hall here at Alton Park Development Corporation site. We call it the Chattanooga Civic Center at Mountainside. We have an amazing event going on right now. And all throughout the month, throughout the year, if you want to host an event, whether it's a birthday party, whether it's a political event, we don't claim to be political left or right. You can have it here. If you want to have an anniversary, your church want to have an event here, any type of event you want to have, you can have it here. Not only do we have an amazing event hall, we own 8 acres of land. We have a park outside. If you want to have an event, a family picnic, get together, reunion, we have it right here at 701 Hooker Road at the Chattanooga Civic Center at Mountainside, located in your neck of the woods. Your neck of the woods. Please give us a call. Reach out to us. You can go on our website or you can email us. What is the email address? We got about 10 of them. Michael, what is the email address if they want to inquire about the Civic Center or host an event here? Okay, Alton Park CDC 98 at gmail.com. Is that it? Okay. All right. We'll put that up on the screen for you all. And you all have a blessed day, a blessed weekend, and a blessed week, and a blessed year. Until next week, I'll see you then.